understanding of how things are. Like, you need to convince a bank, for example, to say banking is not people coming into your branch to open an account with your people so that you give them one card that they use somehow. That banking could actually be an arrangement between you and that aggregator of fish farming to go find 50 farmers to work with, and they will all carry the account of your bank. But you won't be able to control the actual last mile experience because that guy is handling it for you. So it's sort of, there's some evangelizing required. But so far, we find out that people understand, especially when you look outside Africa. You're already seeing examples of this in other parts of the world. Like on Shopify, Shopify merchants have a Shopify account, so to speak. On Square, you have your Square account. Walmart gives you a card. So people who have seen some of these things in other parts of the world are wondering, there should be an adaptation for this thing in Africa. So people get it, but typically what you need to do is to push people over the edge to appreciate and move in that direction.
Interesting. Okay, we'll take a short break and then we'll continue this conversation shortly. All right, we'll take a quick break, and when we come back, I'll still be talking to Okpe Adeoye about embedded finance. Stay with us. Thank you for staying with us. My name is Fumi Unajefe, and you're watching One on One. I have Okpe Adeoye with me. So, what are the now you've talked about the banking institutions or the financial institutions accepting your platforms, but let's talk about the businesses. What challenges will it help the businesses? So we've used this example of the fish farmers, for example, and it's great that you use that example for me, because recently I spoke with like a couple of female fish farmers and all the challenges and all. So what is their own benefits? What challenges will embedded financing help them overcome?
Yeah, so imagine that you are the company that is doing this deal with these fish farmers. You likely have a larger company, maybe some hotel chain that you need to supply fish to, and it is competitive, and you know it, and you need to be able to supply high quality fish to them to serve to their own guests in whatever way, shape, or form. So you already have your own problem, and you are struggling with getting supply for that. Now, by offering this financial product, so to speak, to those fish farmers, you can, to a large extent, guarantee the type of fish you will get. To a large extent, buy the loyalty of the farmer where possible. Buy the loyalty of the farmer to say, it will always come to me so that I can go sell. You can always sell for much higher margins. You are the one in Lagos or wherever it is you are. So the benefits to them usually are typically translated in the form of loyalty down the chain. In some cases where it is not, if I'm not using fish farming, for example, maybe retail, in some cases it is more efficient payment processing. We find cases where maybe retailers are supposed to pay to distributors, and the distributors always have to collect cash from the retailer and then look for how to dispose of that cash in the evening. Things like embedded finance eliminate those kind of problems for them. So it is loyalty, more efficient payment processing, and in some cases you can increase the basket size of the value between you and your customer because you offer them credit, as an example.
Okay, so now you've talked about evangelizing. What has been like the greatest challenge for you with, because it's almost like something that has apparently almost like never existed or is not very common in this space. So what particular challenges are you facing right now?
The biggest challenge is the challenge of saying, let's do it this way. That's really the biggest challenge. One of the things we always talk about at One Pipe, for example, is there are two philosophies in this world of embedded finance, or however you craft it. There are two philosophies. One is people already have bank accounts somewhere.
Yeah.
You need some way to reach into that bank account and do all the things you want to do. One philosophy. Another philosophy is, see that place where that money is. The effort required to reach into it, work out the process, create the best experience to say is so hard. Kuku just give them brand new types of accounts that you have this 100% access to upfront, so that you can now create these most seamless experiences possible. Two very divergent views on the same problem, right? We chose this other approach of let's create brand new accounts, let's list them with all the right properties at the beginning, and let's find the right customer set that needs that type of account. The hard part is having the conversation with a business customer who is telling you, I just want to process payment from the account in that other bank. And then you're saying, no, but how about this other way? So the hardest part is evangelizing that this other way I can connect with that long-term vision. That's our ideal customer. Then let's go to how it can work. If a customer cannot and just says, no, I want bank statement or I want a debit. Good afternoon, sir. There's one company down the road that looks like what you are looking for. Please go talk to them. So that's been the hardest part. Evangelizing what people think is not a today's need and showing them that actually it could be today's need and carry long-term value for you.
But I think another challenge is, without trying to mention any big names, have you had people compare you and say, oh, so and so already do this?
Not today.
How are you different from this other person?
Yeah, it comes up a lot. It comes up a lot. And the answer we give is the same one I just gave you. So and so and so and so do it this way because they're trying to help you reach into existing accounts, which is what you really came to ask for. But hold on a minute. Let me explain to you how it is more valuable to you to actually be the bank of your customer. This. Maybe 60% of the people will fall off when you say that. Like, no, I don't. Call me in 3 years' time when I'm ready for this time. Thank you, sir. Step aside. We'll move to the next person. So that comparison comes up a lot. But the answer is always, hold on a second. Let me walk you through what this world could look like in 5 years' time. Do you like it? Yes. Let's move forward. You don't like it? Go to so and so and so. They are nice people.
Yeah. Okay, fantastic. Now let's talk about the tech space. So every time I'm reading, all the tech blogs and everything of how you've raised money here, people have raised money here, and there's a huge amount of money. So is it really that easy for tech companies to, specifically to your own experience, how easy or difficult is it to raise money and get investors to believe in you that, look, I'm not selling moi here, this is a real
This
deal.
is a serious thing. Yeah. I'll answer that with a very vivid picture. We've raised funding twice, once in 2020 and 2021. So we raised 950, then we raised 3.5 million. And after each cycle...
$2.5 million or naira?
Dollars.
Dollars, okay.
After each cycle, I personally fell sick.
Oh, wow.
Like, oh, we finished fundraising. Where's up where is sick? So, short answer is it's not easy. People fall sick after they raise money. But I think it gets better. So one of the things I'm learning personally is that in fundraising, you make a commitment, feeling the promise you made. And those who didn't back you at the beginning, like, are you sure you don't want to get on this train? That's sort of the formula.
Okay, so let's look at the tech space in Nigeria. It seems almost like it's just quantity over quality, and we don't have so many like unicorns, in Nigeria. What do we need to do? And the way I said like what does Nigeria and the tech space need to do so that we can grow or have our own unicorns?
While I'm not a finance expert, like I'm just a guy that presses laptop. So I cannot really give the proper answer to that. But I've heard people who know more than me say that this thing is just a timing thing. That Nigeria or Africa in general looks to be 5 years behind Far East Asia. So we are where Far East Asia was 5 years ago. So therefore this thing is timing based, and some of the things that it takes off based on, like you see momentum now. As the momentum picks up, you start to see, one more unicorn, another unicorn, and even beyond unicorn. Like unicorns to me is one of those things you just throw around. But beyond the concept of unicorn, like where's the value being created? Where are the exits, for example? Are people really making money off this thing? When they make that money, do they plow it back into the market so that the thing can keep going? I think you start to see the effects of some of these things in the next 3 to 5 years. You will see founders, I've even seen some of it now, you see founders who are planning to make some money off their company, backing other founders, right? And then those ones too will somehow push it through another 3 years, they'll back even more. So my view is that it's these things that create the momentum that we would like to see. And in about 5 years from now, Nigeria will look like what Far East Asia, or Africa will look like what Far East Asia looks like now.
Okay, so the tech space in Nigeria is really growing and it's fantastic. But some people have said, without trying to mention any big names or anything, is that I've grown this tech company, I've gone to get VCs from out of the company, and they're saying, look, you can't register this company in Nigeria, let the shell be here and just be really large, but you have to come and register it in a foreign country and all of that. So how does that work? How does that eventually benefit? Because I almost feel like, does this defeat the whole African-owned, local-grown tech company idea? And how does it still benefit the economy?
To be fair, I think it's a give and take. If you cannot plow your own capital into your own society, and you find somebody looking to put in the capital in, you need to meet them in the middle, right? If the person says, well, your company needs to be in Delaware, then your company needs to be in Delaware so that you can get the capital you need. What you gain, that capital is now deployed in your country. You are employing people in your country. You are creating products for the fish farmers in your country, etc., etc. So while you may not be able to create the long-term value at least from a capital appreciation perspective in your country, from the actual operating performance, it is happening in your country. You are pushing your country along, right? But maybe the long-term value of the company lies in another country. That's fine. It's give and take.
Okay, so on that note, we'll take another short break. Of course, still, I hope you're enjoying this conversation. It's a very, insightful and learning process for me. We'll take a quick break and then we'll be right back. African fintech ecosystem has the most attractive investors. Has attracted about 62% of 4.65 billion US dollars raised. Wow, interesting. I have to get into the tech space. I know it's work, but I want to make money. But why is this happening up there? How come the African tech space is so attractive to a lot of investors now?
Yeah, my view is Africa has significant infrastructure deficits, step one. Whether you think of infrastructure in terms of people, whether you think of it in terms of road and rail, or you think of it in terms of financial infrastructure or credit infrastructure, we just have problem full everywhere around. Okay, invest it in a place where there's problem. Of course, you lose some of that money. But when you do solve those problems, your money goes like this. So I think that's why the African tech market is attracting funding, because maybe tech companies are trying to solve some of these infrastructure problems, and fintech in general is a bit easier to solve than the more physical infrastructure problem. So capital will naturally follow where it thinks it to get its money back.
Okay, interesting. So what advice do you have for key players in industry, finance space, in fact, the entire tech space? What advice concerning, succeeding? And that's why it was very essential for me that you shared your 2i lab story. People have done, and a lot of people come out for funding and we hear success story, but there are a lot of people at the back end who are still trying to, work off. What advice do you have for these people?
First off, don't take my advice. That's the best advice I can give you. Even me, I'm looking for advice. So I will not say I have advice. I will only say that one of the things that at least I personally believe in is collaboration. Like, what can you do? What can I do? How can my 1 + 1 become 3? How can my 1 + your own 1 become 3? Like, we should always all be looking for ways to do that. I know it's not easy, especially when we all get funded. We think we can do it.
Yeah, but people are worried. Sorry, I have to interrupt you with that. Some people are worried that we should collaborate. What if this Lagbaja goes take my idea and runs off with it and everything?
What are they using it for? Idea is nothing. It's the coming together to actually make the idea executable that actually carries value. Like, what is idea? Come and take idea. It's all over the place. I don't think idea is the problem. I think it's just a willingness to say, I'm good at, knitting. You are good at selling knitting. Please, can we come together and create sweater and sell it? Bam. Not, I'm going to learn how to make sweater. I'm going to learn how to sell sweater so that I can keep it all to myself. There's really no point. Don't tight your chest. Yeah.
Interesting. So what's this writing challenge you just put up?
Okay, so back to like how you mentioned that what are the things we're putting effort into right now around evangelizing this concept in general. So our thought was that with this writing challenge, we will get people who are better at writing, better at research, to do the research around the concept of embedded finance and write openly about it. When the writings get published, we then pay winnings to the best write-ups. We have a panel of judges that's going to review all of the submissions, and then the best published articles get paid good prizes, I believe.
Okay, thank you, Ope, for sharing your story. We hope as you get bigger, you raise more money. I won't have to remember me now. I won't have to be chasing you around.
Save the number.
I'd be like, oh, for me, I'm somewhere in London right now. I'm too busy. But thank you so much for your time. Even I, really, you've just made it, because at first, before I did this interview, it seemed all very gibberish and complex. I was telling my colleague and telling you earlier of how I was really studying like I was reading an exam, because I was like, I want to understand this financial thing. But it really has been a good conversation. Thank you for your time.
Thank you for having me.
All right. And that's all we can take today on this episode for One-on-One. Follow us on all our social media platforms, on Facebook, on Twitter, on Instagram. And I'll see you again very soon. My name is Fumi Onuajefe. Enjoy the rest of your day.
There is no voting on social media. To vote, you would require a permanent voter's card. To get your PVC, visit cvr.inecnigeria.org. Create your account with a valid email address and start the registration process. An activation link will be sent to you. Click on the link and activate your account. Fill out the form, pick and submit a convenient date and time for your biometrics. Print the application slip, which should have your QR code. On the appointed date, go to the nearest INEC office for your biometric capturing. Thereafter, you will get a registration slip to pick your permanent voter's card when ready. Get your PVC today. This message is from Plus TV Africa.
Good afternoon, I am Destiny Momo and this is the news brief. The federal government has condemned the attack on its citizens and it says that it will continue to support victims of Abuja-Kaduna train attacks and ensure that services are not hindered. Vice President Yemi Osinbajo gave this assurance as he flew into Kaduna following the attack on a train which has left many killed. Habila Dorufai file in this report as presented in our studios.
The federal government has condemned the Kaduna-Abuja train attack by terrorists, calling it barbaric. The Vice President, Professor Yemi Osinbajo, who cut short his earlier engagement in Lagos to visit the site of the attack, said the government was doing everything possible to end insurgency. In company of the governor of Kaduna State, Nasir El-Rufai, the Vice President proceeded to see victims of the attack at 44 Army Reference Hospital and St. Gerald Hospital.
It is evident that there is no, it's not as if there's any real benefit, even for them. So we remain resolute in our commitment to ensuring that these sorts of things are prevented and that as quickly as possible services are restored and that the type of safety measures that are required are put in place. We've been round to see some of the victims of the very tragic incident, but and many of them, of course, are recovering very well. And we're very happy to see that the state government has taken on the responsibility of medical assistance to them and ensuring that they are comfortable and that they are well. And the federal government will support in every possible way to ensure that these people who just, innocent people just traveling from Kaduna to Abuja, just doing their regular business, are assaulted in a cowardly way, in the dead of night, and late at night. I think it's condemnable, and we must all condemn it and resolve to ensure that these sorts of things do not happen again.
The Chief of Defense Staff, Lieutenant General Lucky Irabo, and the Inspector General of Police, Usman Alkali, also visited the scene of the deadly attack.
This is dastardly acts, and I'd like to assure you that those behind it will not go unpunished. Currently, the men are on their chase, and they will certainly pay the price.
Meanwhile, the figure of those kidnapped is still sketchy as family members of those on board the train besiege the station in a search.
It's a very tragic situation now. I'm not the only one here. If you check around, you can see that there are a lot of people waiting for maybe they will be able to get any relevant information concerning the incident. And up to now.
And so far, there is no information from the train manager.
They are not giving us any information. That is the issue. They are not talking to us. They are keeping all their this thing to